if you've read what it says down here, this session will deal with the methods by which we can make a mainstream a viable program in both our teaching and calling. Let the dancers enjoy mainstream so that when they get the inclination, they can move into the plus program with a minimum of difficulty. And my name is Dave Taylor. I'll be the moderator. Over on my far right, Bob Hester from Illinois is one of the panelists, and the other panelist is Eddie Mayall from Massachusetts. And so we're going to start out as we corresponded with each other, talking about topics that we can all think about, because we want your participation in this too. We're thinking of mainstream as a foundation, and some of the areas that I thought we might like to discuss, and we're interested in areas that you would like to discuss too. But I've thought, and we corresponded with the panelists on thinking of things like our class graduates, mainstream dancers, and the effect of the mainstream list on the teaching of square dancing. Could possibly talk about the mainstream quarterly selection program. It might be interesting to talk about the programming of a mainstream dance, and talk about the mainstream plateau. Is it a plateau or a stepping stone to plus? If time allows, and if you are interested, I thought it might be interesting to investigate the choreography of the mainstream program. We seem to have callers who sometimes say the reason they must go immediately into plus is there's just nothing left to call, to keep it interesting and to keep people at the mainstream plateau. I personally don't agree with that theory, but that is being used by quite a few callers as an excuse to rush right into the plus. In fact, I hope it isn't the same in your area as it is in our area. The callers in this area are already into the plus program at the beginning teaching level. The people are not out of classes, but they are learning the plus movements. I'm thoroughly convinced they don't know the mainstream movements yet, but that is irrelevant because the clubs have put the pressure on the callers to say, you must have them ready for the club. The last dance I called last Friday night right in this area, the class people were there from about 3 different clubs. I was told about it. They wanted me to keep the level as the formal level it was, but take it easy on the beginners. That's a nice task to... I found in calling that dance that I could call relay the deucey teacup chain, load the boat. I could not call partner hinge, peel off, centers in, cast off, 3/4 around. I had to be careful about square throughs. I had to be very careful about all position dancing, but the minute I said load the boat, the floor was in ecstasy. Everybody was on a par, the beginners included, which tells me somebody skipped a lot of mainstream work and rushed into the plus basics. Personal opinion, something we could discuss. To start off, though, as I said, we want your participation. We will be asking you if you would like to question either one of our panelists. If time allows and you would enjoy doing it, we will go into the choreography end of it. Being first, I think we'd like to hear our first panelist would be Eddie Mayall. Let's give him a nice hand.
Good morning. In corresponding back and forth with Dave, Dave gave the panel a topic which we would like to talk on, and the one that I chose, and my personal views, was and is our class graduates mainstream dances. I sent a letter off to Dave expressing my feelings, and I would just like to highlight what I wrote in a letter to Dave. In the area in New England which I am very familiar with, I feel that about 85% of the people coming out of a class are mainstream dancers, because in the area we have about 32 weeks of lessons, followed by what we call a PhD, which runs about another 6 lessons, bringing the total of about 38 weeks of classes. That averages out to about 2 calls a week, and I feel personally that if 85% of the people in class do not come up to the mainstream level, that we have 2 reasons. One being that the caller teacher did not do his or her job, and possibly they did not receive a warm welcome from the group, the club sponsoring the class. The other 15%, I feel that you're going to lose that many anyway, and I, for no reason, can see how to save them. I presented this to the College Association, which I belong to, and we thought it would be a nice 10-minute subject. We ended up kicking it around for about 2 hours, I guess, and it got late in the evening and we had to stop. That's my feelings. We hope you join in and give us a little response back to my comments. That's about it. Dave?
Yeah, are there any questions you'd like to direct at this time to Eddie? We have some more seats down in front if you come down right over here to the right and left. We do not have a microphone on the floor, do we? Uh-oh. And this is being taped.
We can repeat the question.
We'll have to repeat the question. It'll slow us down a little bit because we will repeat it for a question of taping. And when you're called on, would you please state your name and the area you call in?
Phyllis Gilson, Michigan. Is this something, your 30 lessons in PhD, that many callers participate in, or just yourself?
The question is this 30 lessons that many callers participate in, or is this just something you do on your own, Eddie? Yeah. Would you want to come up here while you're fielding these? And that's from Phyllis Gilson, Michigan.
I think it's a general rule of the area that I am working in, that we all do about the same.
Any other questions? Why don't you stay here just and then would you call them and you could repeat the names? It would save some time.
Mayall Stalker from Genoa City, Wisconsin. Oh, this area, it's close, but how did you go about getting all the other callers to go along with that program?
Repeat the question. Mayall Stalker.
Mayall Stalker, where is it, Lyle? You're from?
Genoa City,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. And the question, how did I get the rest of the callers in the area to go along with this?
Right.
In our area, it's not the caller so much as the club. The majority of the new beginners classes in our area, and my guess, and I'm going to get some flack if I'm wrong, about 95% of the new beginner classes in our area are sponsored by the clubs. They're not caller run. So we really have no control over that. Does that answer your question? Not really.
How did you get the callers to go along with that?
With my feelings, oh, they didn't. They did not. I had a lot of flack. And but I don't want to give you their answers. I want yours.
Any question back here?
Our Matthews in Chicago. My question possibly isn't right along with this, but our problem, of course, is not as much with the callers as it is with the officers of club. Being a hired employee, which exactly is what we are for a hired caller, we're going to have to do what our club officers direct. Now, what I would like to know is, how are we going to educate dancers to the fact that we cannot teach these things properly in the 30 or 30 plus weeks that we teach? They're so anxious to get the dancers, new dancers, into the club. And here is where the problem lies, more with clubs, officials, rather than with callers, I think. How are we going to address this? How are we going to educate these callers?
That is Art Matthews, and his question is, how are we going to educate the club officials, because they are actually the ones who are crowding the caller to teach too much too quickly and get them into the plus program. And Bob Hester said he'd like to answer that question.
Well, he didn't say. Have a nice trip.
You've been watching Don Beck. You're going
In order to, first of all, can we get another mic? It's going to be very difficult. Is there a possibility if there's no mic?
Why can't we come up?
Okay, we can, if you have questions, you're all used to speaking in front of groups, I'm sure. So we'll just let you, that way we won't have a lot of translation problems. The first question was, how do we educate club dancers or club officers? I don't know how we educate them, but do we have the nerve or the guts to say no to them? That's the key. You say, I can't do it.
I'm not saying you can't do it. You saw me shake my head. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying if I turn it down, the next guy's going to take it.
Right.
Your Callers Association can make an agreement. They can stick together and they can say, okay, I won't, but there's going to be some new caller who's not even qualified to teach a lesson that eventually they're going to get to his name and he's going to say, there's my chance to get the foot in the door.
We need that on tape, because I've got a rebuttal for it, and I want it on tape.
State your name and where you're from.
Dean Libby, Minnesota. What I'm saying is that if the callers associations make an agreement to stick together, if I turn it down, the next guy's going to take it anyway, and if he turns it down, eventually you're going to be down to some new caller. And in our area, clubs book their callers 2 years in advance. So if I'm a new caller, I can't get my foot in the door for 2 years. But if every other caller turns it down, then there's my chance to get my foot in the door. I've got a club all of a sudden. So I'm going to take it. And he may not even be qualified to teach that class, and he's going to teach those, he's going to be unfair to those dancers too. He's not only going to teach them in that 30 weeks, but he's not going to teach them right, where at least somebody with some experience might be able to help him a little bit. Very good point. And the way you combat that point is simply, if you've got that organization that does stick together and does agree, start a class. Or get 3 guys or 4 guys that can work together and conduct a class. You don't have to have a club to run a beginner square dance class. And show them through example that after 35 or 40 weeks or however many weeks you want to take these people, that you can create a definitely beautiful set of square dancers in that amount of time, and they can take their 20 weeks and do whatever they want to with it. And it works. I know that.
I think what Bob Hester here is talking about is the fact that he and I share the teaching of a beginner's class for a club. And we have the same pressure that you talked about. I wrote a letter to the president of the club in which I explained to them that I do not have the talent that it takes to teach people in 25 or 30 lessons all of the mainstream and the plus movements, or some of them. In fact, I really don't believe it can be done in the 41 weeks that CALLERLAB recommends to do it properly. Give a demonstration. Why? I'm not talented enough. I could, at the demonstration that I'd like to do later, if time allows, show you what I mean. But we did, Bob and I and another caller named Bob Coleman, get together and start our own class. And I asked, I guess that started out because I said I wish I could teach beginners here the way I did in Detroit. And they said, because in Detroit it is not club controlled. It wasn't at that time. I don't know about now. Callers taught their own classes, and therefore they were not under the pressure of a president bearing down their neck, breathing, and saying, when are they ready? We need them, we need them. And what he said is, my treasurer would like to have them. Because they really don't need them, and they don't want them. They want their money. If you see how badly you want them, you'll find them at the back of the hall, nobody paying any attention to them, whatever. Jim, did you want to make a statement? Would you please come to the front?
Just ask people who want to speak to come up.
Yes, if you want to speak, why don't you just start lining up over here? It'll speed things along.
Let me just observe that Bob Hester's solution is not a universal one. Joe Casey and I spent a couple of years ago a lot of money in a whole fall trying to start a square dance program, and one of the things we proved is that busy callers do not have an easy way to start a class. We don't have the time nor the access to dancers who are not club affiliated. And you aren't going to ask club affiliated dancers to recruit for your class when they're recruiting for their club class. I think the solution is not instantly available to everyone. It's even a well-established reputation in an area where all classes are sponsored by clubs will not help you to get a class going. And Joe and I are as well known as any callers in our area. We failed miserably.
The way that we would think about that situation, you're not going to get the support of the clubs unless you tell them that you can have these dancers. We're not going to say don't go dance at your club. What we're trying to create and trying to teach are square dancers for the square dancing activity, and if we can create those dancers and they want to go dance wherever they wish, is their prerogative. And we're not trying to promote any individual club as much as the clubs are trying to push them. We lost, or didn't necessarily lose, but gave dancers to clubs from all levels in that particular class, and they still come and dance to us at our organizations and our dances, and they still support the clubs that they joined after we taught them how to dance.
If you can get the initial class going, I'd like to tell you that we feel, if you don't take my word for it, you can talk to either Bob Coleman or Bob Hester here. Our only problem was that we taught the class properly. They then became far better dancers than the club dancers. In that period, it was not a 41-week period. We took them longer than that, but we also taught them styling, grace, flow of dance. The minute they walked onto the floor, they looked much better than anybody in the club. And the people in the clubs were a little bit embarrassed because these were first-year dancers. They are still dancing now. The thing you might find when you find a situation like that is some people, bless their hearts, then begin to see the difference and would rather take them to you than to the club where they get murdered. And they come out miserable dancers, and they come out with no styling, no grace, don't know how to dance a step to the music. The latest dance in which I have participated, I had, for people in classes, I had to actually stop the music and ask them, please, don't run. It is not necessary to run. And they didn't know what I was talking about. I stopped and showed them how you dance to music. And the first question, and the second question, and the third question, and every question here is, how come my caller never taught me this? I said, I guess he doesn't have time. But we're talking about square dancing, and as I travel the country and as I look around my home area, I find they are not dancing. This is called square dancing, and nobody's teaching dancing. We are teaching basics in a hurry. We don't have time. We're not teaching styling. We don't have time. We're not teaching fun at all. And I will repeat to you that what happened to me as chairman, when I was chairman, someone sent me a letter that, with an article in the Chicago Tribune that a woman had written. They interviewed her about her square dance class for some reason. And she said, it wasn't at all like I thought it was. They was told this would be a great deal of fun. It was a lot of work. And she says, I used to go home at night with a headache. They were teaching me so much, so fast, that if I missed out of illness and went back, it was just terrible. And they wanted me to write a letter to this woman criticizing her for the detrimental effect that this article would have on square dancing. And I wrote back to the person and said, this woman knows when she has a headache. Do you want me to tell her she didn't have one? Do you want to tell me she was having fun when she said she wasn't? She knows when she's having fun, and she knows when she has a headache. I can't tell her she was wrong. And I, most of all, sympathize with her deeply because I understand the problem. We never, we should never use the word never. We seldom have time in the classes today to ask to just lay back and do a good singing call and let them rollick and have a good time, even in the patter, have fun. So, have you ever seen a bumper sticker? It doesn't say square dancing is tough. Come on in. It says square dancing is fun, and they get up there, and I visited many classes. I don't see too many of them that are what I classify fun. They're tough. It's a crash course. And we're on a crash course for killing square dancing if we don't get off it. Because I hear all over, classes are not big as they used to be. And there's a very simple reason. If you think by teaching fast that attracts people, then we would be on the right course and they would be bigger. How many times have I've bumped into many people. My dentist. I hope he's smart. He's working on my teeth. He's an intelligent man. He couldn't keep up with it. We have another statement here. Yes. You want to step right up here?
Yeah, I'm Fred Farthing from Missouri. One solution seemed to me on this dealing with the club officers, like you said, you have to say no, but if you can say, all right, our lessons are over, and then have your workshop afterwards, but actually it's just an extension of your lessons. That's what I've been able to do, which they would not, their treasury probably would not permit, in their opinion, more than 30 lessons, but when you add 8 or 9 workshop weeks to that, then I think we get toward the 40 lessons. But they don't actually know that, as far as I'm concerned, it's just 40 lessons. As far as they're concerned, it's 30 lessons and 8 or 9 workshop. You might include one. I think I usually throw 1 or 2 of the quarter selections in to make it a little different, but actually it's just an extension.
May I ask you, in the extension, are you teaching mainstream or plus?
Mainstream.
Good, because around this area it's plus. There are extensions in some areas, but they're plus, and it's great if they're mainstream.
Actually, it is not teaching more moves as introducing different choreography and taking certain moves for that night and really going through them as a review session.
It's excellent. I'm going to take one more from the crowd, make a closing statement, and move on to a different phase of mainstream.
Yeah, Rich Furman from St. Louis, Missouri. I had the opportunity of attending last year's CALLERLAB, and in the process we had pressure put on us by the dancers in the St. Louis area. St. Louis, same as any other area, had a very, very high dropout rate. So we started a mainstream club about a year ago. Now, mind you, we are the only mainstream club in the St. Louis area. I also had the opportunity to be the MC in the festival just last weekend over in Belleville. We had the advanced dancer, we had the plus floor, and we had the new dancer room, which was basically mainstream. Caller wasn't allowed to leave mainstream. I control the level as far as the teaching and workshop. I said, if you want to teach something, you can use a quarterly selection in mainstream, but nothing out of mainstream. So we had the opportunity to work on that. It was amazing. Start out the night on the main floor, and I had a pretty good crowd. Our new dancer floor was fairly full. Wow. Before the night was over, new dancer floor was packed. They were leaving the main floor. They couldn't dance a level on the main floor. These are people who have been pushed, and I can't emphasize the word more than that, pushed through programs. We're trying like a darnest. We're hanging in there. We're fortunate. We've got a situation where we work with the St. Louis County Parks Department, got a low rent hall, and I'll be truthful with you, I don't take a fee for calling because I'm not interested because we have been losing too many dancers. I'm bringing other callers in.
I'm going to wind it up.
Okay, I'm bringing other callers in. We do pay them. And I think here's another gentleman right here who last year was our new dancer, called our new dance program. He's seen what happened in our hall. Right?
All right, Civic, we move on. We don't want to leave this issue without saying, wrapping it up a little bit. As Eddie Mayall said, he feels that at the end of teaching that they are mainstream, but he did say if. He said if the caller has done a good job. That's a big if. This gentleman just talked about a dropout rate. I pose to you to think about something. We've all talked about there is a larger number of dropouts than we've ever had, and I want to ask you a question. Did they drop out because they had too much fun? I wonder why they're dropping out then. You think they came in and said, this is the most delightful time I've ever had in my life. Let's quit. I pose to you, gentlemen and ladies, we are not giving fun in the beginner's class. We are teaching basics fast and hard for one reason. Jam them into the club and they're dropping out. We say, let's try again. We have perpetuated a very unsuccessful program. CALLERLAB has laid out a program and recommended 41 weeks. Since I was born and raised in the city of Detroit, I'd like to tell you that they were just absolute experts in making cars. And we went to war with a country named Japan. Kind of blew it apart a little bit, decided to help build it get back together, and we taught them how to make cars, and we showed them this is the way you should do it. I happen to have worked in some of the factories when I was a kid going to college. I can tell you how they make cars. They don't make them that way in Japan. They make them the way we told them to make them. And they're coming out better. CALLERLAB, quite a few years ago, set up a CALLERLAB program. And we have some Japanese members, and they went back and they took our formula. John Jones went to Japan recently. He told me, we have a problem. We don't have any mainstream clubs, is what I hear, in the major metropolitan areas. He talked to most of them. He said, well, you can't have a mainstream club. John tells me that they have basic clubs in Japan. And he said, they are the best darn basic square dancers he's ever seen. They can do those first few basics, and they have clubs. They have mainstream clubs. He says, they are the best mainstream clubs I have ever seen in my life. They have plus clubs. John says they are the best dancers of plus I have ever seen in my life. They have advanced clubs, A1 and A2. He said, they are the best advanced dancers I have ever seen in my life. They have some challenge clubs. He said, I visited a C1. I thought it was C7. What I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is the Japanese took CALLERLAB's formula, and it works. And you and I are telling people we can't do it. And I don't know why. We come up with every reason in the world, and one of the biggest reasons is we are scared we're going to lose our job, which boils down to no guts, no leadership. We've turned the leadership over to the dancers, and the dancers really don't have the formula. I, for one, if I were a doctor, I wouldn't like my patient telling me how to perform an operation. And as a teacher of dancing, I don't like presidents telling me how to teach my beginners class. And in the last class I had, I wrote to the president, as copied Bob because we teach it together, I wrote him what was tantamount to a resignation. That if this is what he wants, he needs to get a more talented caller. I do not have the talent to teach plus dancing within a 30-week with new dancers. I can't do it. Did you want to say something on it, Bob?
I said it was plural.
Plural, we both said it. Yes, I called Bob first. I said, Bob, I'm writing this letter, but I can't write it without your approval. You do it with me. And he said, amen. We have tried the other way with Bob Coleman, Bob Hester, myself. We proved that the Japanese were right by using our formula. It works for us, too. We found out, didn't we? They were the best dancers ever put out I've seen in a long, long time. I was the proudest person in the world of that class. But we did not have a number of weeks. We taught them till they were ready. I am sure happy that the school teachers who teach your children don't teach the way you and I teach square dancing. I'm going to say just you now because I've resigned from it. I won't do it. I'm very happy if any of you took swimming classes that you did not have a teacher like you're teaching dancing. I would search for you at the bottom of the pool. Most parents object violently when they find a school teacher moving on too fast. They want their kids taught properly. And I think it's about time we taught square dancing properly. Why not try the method the Japanese are using that we gave them? I don't see anything wrong with that formula. I don't know why we have to say we have to go into plus. Mainstream clubs could work, I think, if you had fun with the dancers and if they were efficient at the mainstream level. I would like, in a few minutes, I'm going to give a few opportunities to speak first, but after that I would like maybe to pull back some chairs and let's see some mainstream dancing. It could be fun, interesting, and challenging enough that you don't have to move on to plus if you don't want to. We could sure use some mainstream clubs. I'll open it up for comments now. Please line up over here. State your name, the state, or country, or province.
Okay, thank you, Dave. My name is Stu Lenny. I'm from Cambridge, Ontario, in Canada. We are very fortunate in our area. I took over the class for a club about 6 years ago. They were taking them straight from basics, shoving mainstream into them, and throwing them into the club. Fortunately, we were short of callers in the area at the time, and I said I wouldn't do it. We now have them, the basic course. I just finished the basic course, 27 weeks. That's to just basics. We're not into mainstream at all. They're good dancers. I encourage them to go to other classes in the area where they call the same level I do. My dancers are out 4 nights a week to different classes with different callers. I'm not afraid of them going to other callers. I think a lot of us are afraid that if we encourage our basic dancers to go to other callers, they're going to find a caller better than we are and they're going to leave us. Well, so be it. Amen. If they find a better caller than me, go to it. They're going to make better dancers. They're going to come back to me later on. Let's make certain that they get as much dancing as they can at their basic level. I have them all summer, or various callers in the area have them all summer, once a week, going from basics to mainstream, all summer. Air-conditioned hall, beautiful. Various callers. I get them back next year as mainstream dancers. I go through the entire mainstream dancer program with them again every second Saturday for the entire season. When they go to club, into the plus dancing, they have learned approximately 5 plus moves from me before they go to the club. The club caller, we have 2 callers in the club, the club caller takes them from there on in their 3rd year. I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we turn out dancers. They are given the time to do it. Now, it took, I must admit, a bit of guts on my part to do it. I told them I would not do it. I was lucky there weren't enough callers in the area to take over from me. But I've had more satisfaction of turning out decent dancers. Recently, and I want you to give a thought to this, I've had 10 couples of dropouts come to me and say, Stu, would you please start a twice-monthly mainstream club that we can come and have the fun we had when you taught us in class. Think about it. There are lots of dropouts in your area. I'll guarantee there's not one of you that hasn't lost dancers between the basics and the mainstream somewhere. Thank you.
I'm Red Hennon from Troy, Michigan, and we do have mainstream clubs now in Detroit, Dave. But one of the things I think we should consider, we're blaming the clubs, and it's the club officers. But I have found, because we dance around a lot, my wife and I enjoy dancing, we ask the dancers, not the club presidents and club officers. When you talk to the dancers, they will support this 41-week or 42-week program. They don't like to be out there dancing with what we as callers are turning out. And we're listening to the few, the club officers, and yes, they're paying your salary. We have a caller in our area that turned down. He was working with another caller in classes who wanted to push them through. And he says, no, I won't. He says they have to dance mainstream for a year before they're allowed to join my club, and that's the way we're going to keep it. Also, in the summertime, last year, I started a mainstream dances every Friday night. We never had them in our area. My concern was the dropout rate that we have from classes. We turn them out of classes, they drop a little, and they're scared to come back in September. I had a very successful dance. I will not allow the callers that are calling that dance to progress. It's strictly mainstream. They can come once, or they can come every time. They're not pushing them in my dances into the plus level, and I have a very well-attended dance in the summer because of that.
Thank you. We'd like to wrap up. We'd like to wrap up this part with Bob Hester doing a summary.
Just in summary, and to not shut it off, but I know we have other topics we want to go on to. We all pretty much agree, evidently, on what we're saying, and if anybody needs any or has any suggestions for solutions, we all know what the problem is. Excuse me. We should, I think, sit down and determine if we really believe in what we're saying here. If we really believe in this philosophy of the CALLERLAB program, of the 41 weeks, or however many weeks it takes to teach these people how to dance, if we believe in it, why? Why do we believe in it? Somebody's going to ask you. We should know that.
And then we should have the intestinal fortitude, or the guts, as we've been saying, or the leadership qualities to simply say no to groups who insist that we do things, and try to gather some support from our cohorts if we have any. And then all of a sudden, incrementally, and not with a revolution, but through evolution, somebody told me once, change it. Go out, start a class, if it's even 1 square, 3 squares, whatever. Show them the right way to do it. It takes time. That's what we've got a lot of. Like John Jones says, we've got another 16 years before we know how to do it right. We may have to show them through actual experience, according to my notes, and the reason I'm reading this is we got it way out of context. But if we can just band together in your own areas, it doesn't take many people, but you have to find people who agree with you, and just prove them simply wrong. Get associations to take a stand. Your associations, caller associations and dancer associations, work together, or are supposed to. And if you can convince the Dancers Association that what you're doing is for the betterment of the activity, for square dancing, not for any particular association, club, or group, I think you'll get a lot more headway and leeway as far as those people understanding. If there are any questions regarding the suggestions or any additional suggestions for solutions, anybody want to make any statements?
Another word.
Shirley? Oh.
Got you.
Got it? We got to get you on tape, Cheryl. Name and
Shirley Halverson, Battle Creek, Michigan. There's one more word that goes into this, communication. The communications, period. I say, sit down with these club people. If you are working for a club, discuss these things with them. I have just opened my mouth Monday night a week ago and said I would be willing to teach your classes for you at a club that is strictly plus push, push, push. But I said we've got to sit down and discuss this whole program of square dancing before I will do it for you. So when you're open, find a night, I'll be there, and we'll discuss it at your house, my house, wherever. We have the room, come on in. And we're going to sit down and discuss it, but I will not step into the program such as they've had and try to get pushed. I say, why the rush?
Thank you, Shirley. I would like to offer as another solution, and I think I was thinking of what Art Matthews said back there, and it is a real problem the way he said that if you can't see some of these solutions, excuse me, in a situation where you absolutely can't get out of the club control type of thing, you might try an idea that was given to me by Jerry Helt. And we feel it's been very successful as we imitated it. He takes the time to throw a great many beginner-type dances, or new dancers, we like to call them. At least we don't like to call them beginners. We call it new dancer specials, new dancer whatever. And we invite all of them from any class. And if you stop to think about this, at what time should they be more excited about going on the weekends or whenever and looking for dances? They are constantly looking for dances and saying, where can we go and do some of this out of a class situation? In a way, they're telling you we want to try it for fun some night when we're not working hard. And the normal answer is you're not ready yet. I think at whatever. I think the first one we tried is after 10 lessons, wasn't it? And we've had varied amounts of success. We've had our failures and we've had our successes. But overall, the long haul, at these dances, you can reach them, give them extra floor time. And it is at some of these dances where I've slowed some of them down and stopped the running and the gaping and the clumsy-looking type of thing that I see wherever I go, and explain to them about how you dance. And they stand there amazed. They didn't know this. They didn't know you should take short steps. I see some poor men running with long steps and never getting there. And they're exhausted. You might try the idea of starting special dances. Some of you say, my Fridays and Saturday nights are all booked up, and I think that's fine. We tried Sunday afternoons because they don't know yet that there aren't clubs on Sunday, or you shouldn't dance on Sunday, or whatever. They're just eager to go out and try it, and I think you would have some more success. Bob just whispered me, a good day of Super Bowl Sunday. I told you we had some of our failures. We planned these long in advance, and the Super Bowl committee neglected to inform us. We had 24 squares on Super Bowl Sunday. We were scared stiff going into that dance.
Want to watch the game?
Yeah, we did want to watch a game. We were a little upset with ourselves. But you see, this is at the time they should be excited about trying somewhere else. At those dances, I would caution you, I'm the guiltiest one. A lot of times I don't follow my own advice, and I don't realize it till the dance is over. I would tell you not to workshop these people too much at that dance. Teach them some of the styling, teach them some of the dancing techniques, but don't teach them a new basic. I fell under pressure. When people ask me, I'm a gullible kind of guy. Don't ask me for money as you leave. I got it, I'll probably give it to you. They come up and say, we're having an awful time with a square through. Please teach us a square through. I call you, and I'm having an awful time. And then I finally teach them, and I shouldn't have done it. So I would ask you only to teach them how to dance properly and to show them some styling and how to take short sliding steps rather than to gape and run and look awkward and clumsy. I'm so embarrassed when I see the beginners at the beginners. They look so clumsy and terrible, and nobody's told them what to do. They just absolutely don't know. At this point, I would appreciate it if we could take the first 2 rows from here and slide them around this way somehow, change your seating arrangement, leave us enough center of the floor, and have 4 lovely mainstream volunteers to make a square. We'll probably.
You want us to hum for you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought of this part of the program and talked to both Eddie I wrote with Eddie and talked to Bob, and I think it's important, to blow one myth out, and that is many of the callers I have talked to, and I'm not saying this is you, and I don't know if you've seen the same, I guess we'll call it cop-out, that there's nothing left in mainstream. We've got to go on to plus. There's nothing to do in mainstream. They've got to have something more. I guess what we're talking about is meat in the dance or whatever. Where's the beef? And I think if we investigate the possibilities, and I don't feel it takes a great deal of hard choreographic concentration to do these kind of things. But I suggest to you that with the basics, with a very few basics, that you could call a very interesting dance, one that they would enjoy. And if you wish to go on up into, I hate to use the word, not challenge, but challenging them at the mainstream level. And I see this happening too. I'll prove to you you don't know mainstream. I'll prove to you on the other side that if you use that approach, that every time that you win an argument, you'll lose a friend. You prove to someone who doesn't know mainstream, he isn't going to like you very much. Okay? In this square here, please, could we have couples 1 and 3 lead to the right, circle up 4, head chance break, make 2 lines of 4. Notice that beautiful styling? Unrehearsed. At this point, I'll offer to you one basic that I like to work around out of left-handed ocean ways, if you will, out of Dixie style. I am basically going to do the same thing about several different times, but I pose to you that the dancer would not know this. You may be able to pick it off. But I'm going to use the same routine 4 times at least, and I don't think mainstream people would know that, okay? Let's do a right and left through. Put the lady in the lead, do a Dixie style to an ocean wave. Okay. Girls circulate, boys trade. Element left your corner. Promenade home. You've used that get out many times, I'm sure. I didn't give you anything you didn't know. But I'm suggesting we could take that particular thing and work a whole tip around it. 2 and 4 lead to the right. Am I going too fast? Circle up 4. Break and make a line. Can you hear the music? Do a right and left through, put the lady in the lead, do a Dixie style to an ocean wave. Girls circulate, boys scoot back. Element left. Where is she? There she is. Okay, promenade home. Just that little extra touch about the time they're ready to anticipate. And they will have felt, ooh! Heads lead to right, circle up 4. break and make 2 lines. I'm suggesting to you now the get-outs, by the way. I might have called some pass-through. I'm not going to bore you with all that. The pass-through, the wheel and deal, the touch quarters, and a lot of different things, and put them into lines with their partners, and then start this. I would sight call them into this situation, okay? Right, left through, same old stuff. Dixie style to an ocean wave. Are you getting bored? Girls circulate, boys trade. Boys run around that girl. Bend the line, element left. Promenade. I don't mean to neglect 2 and 4. Here we go. 2 and 4 lead to the right. Circle up 4. Break out 2 lines. Move up and back. Do a right and left through. Put the lady in the lead. Do a Dixie style to an ocean wave. Girls circulate. Boys trade. They're getting ready to anticipate this answer. Boys run. Bend the line with a couple of cross square through 4 hands. And walk right into a right and left grand. You're smiling, honey. I love it. She didn't have a headache.
You having fun?
I hope she's having fun.
I like that.
Okay. I could develop a whole tipper on it. I'm not going to do it that way. We're trying to save some time. I would sight call some square throughs, some swing throughs, some whatever, and then work them into get their partners, put them in lines of 4, and use this kind of approach, okay? Let's have 1 and 3 lead to the right, circle up 4. Heads ends break, got 2 lines 4, move up and back. What I'm saying is that little extra thing that they don't suspect, I'd like to give them. I don't want to cremate them. I am finding callers say, I'll fix them, I'll show them. They don't know this, they don't know that. I just want to surprise them a little bit. Pass through, wheel and deal. Center 2 swing through, the others face each other, and everybody do a right and left grand. You meet that girl in promenade. Two and 4 lead to the right. Circle up 4. So far, I'm only working with partners. Break out and make 2 lines. Move up to the middle and back. Do a right and left through. Half sachet. Pass the ocean. Right and left grand. It's not challenging enough. And promenade. Now, these are people that know their plus. They've been through in 30 weeks and had all the plus. I suggest to you that's not a bad call. That's not a bad call. If they know past the ocean. I am afraid to tell you that people have come to some of these dances I call and gotten upset with me on that call and said, my caller told me that you passed the ocean by the girl's left touch a quarter. There you go. I got a support on that. Have you ever looked at that is not what the call has written. You do not. How could the girl's left touch a quarter if they're half sashayed? Okay. Pass the ocean is a good little call. And I suggest to you can make all position dancing, if you want to call it, or dancing by a definition, fun at the mainstream level by not, let's see, making it, we'll show you this or we'll show you that, or relieve some of the tension, I guess was it. Have you ever seen some of the new dancers come into a dance? I tell some of them I stop sometimes when I'm circling left, and they just, I think the funniest thing is the first beginner special that I ever called, they stood there like this. And of course the first thing, I knew that some of the word was out that I call advanced dancing, and I do call some challenge, and they went, he calls advanced, and they stood there like this, and I said, circle left, 4 squares did element left, grand right, left, bombed out of the thing, because they were just tense, you know. And so I stopped the music for a while and said, let's all take 3 deep breaths and relax a minute, because let's try this head couples. Star through. Double pass through. Centers in, cast off 3/4 round. And now this is the kind of thing I like to call to relieve tension, but to go into the dancing by definition program and try to make it fun. About this time, I'd say, pass through, wheel and deal. And gentlemen, let's have a little contest. Let's see how good the girls are. Okay? Girls, touch quarter. Walk and dodge, clap for them, boys. Boys partner trade, girls partner trade. Girls pass the ocean. Girls swing through. Center girls run around the end girls. Girls wheel and deal. How'd they do, boys? All right, zoom. About this time, your turn to laugh, girls. Relieve the tension. Let them know this is going to be fun. If you goof up, so what? Okay? Boys touch a quarter. Boys walk and dodge. Boys partner trade. Pass the ocean, boys. Swing through. Spin the top. Single hinge. Walk and dodge. Say hi, girls. Star through. Couple circulate. Bend the line. Touch a quarter. Girls run. Right and left grand. And I pose to you that I think they'd be interested. I'm talking about new dancers. You know, these are mainstream. Let's try this one. 2 and 4 lead to the right. Circle up 4. Break right out, make 2 lines. Move up to the middle and back. I might have done all these things we did before and coming back and get ready, and they might be ready for that touch a quarter. Girls running around. So now we left touch a quarter. Boys run. Right and left grand. I'm not going to walk right and left grand. You got to... That's the beginning, right. Okay, let's try this one. 1 and 3 lead to the right. Circle up 4. Break right out, make 2 lines of 4. Move up to the middle and back. Okay, pass through, wheel and deal. Face your partner, back away. Pass through, wheel and deal. Boys square through, 4 hands. Watch them, girls. Oh, careful, careful, guys. See, we already know plus, we already know mainstream. We need to move on, don't we? Okay, boys partner trade. Pass the ocean. Swing through. Center boy run around the end boy. Half tag. Scoot back. Boy facing out run. How'd they do, girls? Girls pass the ocean. Swing through. Center girl run. Half tag. Trade. Walk and dodge. Cloverleaf. Boys pass through. Star through with a girl. Goodness gracious. Wheel and deal. Element left. Oh my gosh. Don't element left. Put her back. Star through. Pass through, wheel and deal. Centers, zoom. Star through. Touch a quarter. Walk and dodge. Circle up 4. Break and make a line. Move up and back. Pass through. Do a partner trade. Roll to facer. Square through. On the third hand, right and left grand. I see some of our plus dancers having trouble with mainstream. That's not my point to try to give them trouble. My point is, should know mainstream. This is my point, okay? Now, we can, if necessary, get a little bolder. You going to hang in there with me? Okay. Head square through. Swing through with the outside 2. Boys run. Wheel and deal and veer to the left. I posed to you, they did their zooms real well, didn't they? Okay, couple circulate. Boys run. Boys circulate. Girls zoom. Right and left grand. Uh-huh. I don't think many people really know zoom. I have a couple that I use zoom to a left element. I insist they know zoom. I would love for them to know zoom before they know load the boat. I would love for them to know, and you people came out of it well. I'm not, but did you notice you had to think about it? I pose to you the people you've taught don't know, they couldn't have never gotten through that. Because zoom has not been taught properly. It has not been exposed. It has been exposed. It has not been known. People do not know how to zoom properly. They can do it from one way. Okay? Element left. Promenade. Don't stop, don't slow down. I'm in trouble right here because I think one call, keep going, one call is going to be taken off, I think. Heads backtrack. I understand backtrack's going to be taken off. Square through 4 hands. Centers in, pass through in the center. Centers in, cast off 3/4. Okay? Pass through, wheel and deal. Zoom. Zoom again. Out on the left. Promenade. I think these are interesting little things that we could do to put some meat into the mainstream program. I don't think that it's true when I hear callers say, we have to go into plus because, they know all this. They know all this. I pose to you that they don't know all of it. They have been exposed to some of it. And I think it is the caller's fault. I think we've just scratched the surface here. There are many things that we could carry on for. Let's give our square a nice big hand. Thank you. I think that most of the people in mainstream that I have seen could dance 2 years before they could do a lot of that efficiently, and a lot more that I could use for them. I would like to see people take a longer time to teach. I'm coming to a close by telling you that in 1962, Ed Gilmore said he felt it took 2 years to be an accomplished dancer when we had 75 basics. And I agree with him. I pose to you we have more basics than that now. But I still think, he's right. I think with what Eddie Mayall said, he gave us a big if. If the caller does a good job. By that I mean not exposing them and hurting them, but teaching them well and making them thoroughly efficient. I say to you that I think we could make excellent mainstream dancers out of them in 2 years. I'm disturbed that we are making lousy plus dancers out of them in 30 weeks. Maybe the answer is you should run your own clubs or something. I don't know. We're all finding ways why we can't do it, and yet I haven't heard anybody say that we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't make good mainstream dancers. We have a few minutes left, and I've taken up a lot of your time, so I'd like to have comments. Would you please come down to the front and use the microphone?
Bill Hamilton from the Kalamazoo area of Michigan. Okay. First of all, I would like to agree with Dave. I never yet saw anybody quit square dancing because they were having fun. I think the interest in mainstream is shown by the amount of people that are here, and I would like to make one suggestion. It seems to have worked for me and may not work for everybody. Over a period of 7 years, starting with 2 squares, we have lost many people who said, we want to go do this, we want to go do that. I have taken the position, thank you for coming. We love to have you. We still love you. If you ever want to come back, we're always glad to see you. And as of this time, to the best of my knowledge, our club has probably got the biggest treasury in southwestern Michigan, so tell your club that.
Dean Libby, still from Minnesota. Still. 2 things. Right here in the thing that we get from CALLERLAB, I would submit that you made a mistake here. Developing mainstream as a foundation. In the first place, we have mainstream clubs in Minnesota, and I think it's an endangered species around the country, but we do have them. They're alive and well, and we have plus clubs too, and I call plus, but I call mainstream clubs too. But you're saying right here, let the dancer enjoy mainstream so that when they get the inclination, they can move to plus programs with the minimum of difficulty. And that should be not when they get the inclination, if they get the inclination. And your heading, instead of being developing mainstream as a foundation, should be mainstream can be a stopping point. For some people, it is a stopping point. If they only have X amount of time to devote to square dancing, that's where they're going to operate at a comfortable level. And it should be a stopping point for some people. There's no reason to push them into plus so they can then go take up bowling and other things. The other thing is, what Dave just proved out here, is that it's easier, and it's our fault, it's easier for us as callers to increase the dancer's vocabulary than it is for us to do our homework. If we do our homework, they can enjoy, and they aren't going to get bored at mainstream and feel obligated to go to plus. But we got to do it.
doing next year?
Dean, I love you. That is a great point. That is a great point. It is. She's going to kiss you. It is easier for us to go out and teach them a new basic than it is to work with the ones we know. He's got that right on the head. That's why we're doing it. We're saying, what'll I do tonight? Go to the next number. Easy.
Lois Wolfson, Pittsburgh. I always get mixed up. I'm from. Yeah, oh, that's right. I, for the life of me, cannot understand. I was a real bad guy for 2 years. I was really rotten, like a lot of callers. But the first year I came to CALLERLAB in '81, I went back and told my dancers I've completely changed my thought on square dancing. You're all CALLERLAB members. I don't understand why you're not going by CALLERLAB recommended teaching. Why are you here? Why are you here? I went back and changed immediately. I'm the only one who did in a city of 3 million. And it worked. It worked. If you have a plus club, you have to have a mainstream club. And about the ones who want to stay, I have some who do want to stay. And another thing, if you have a plus club, you have to have a mainstream club if you're going by CALLERLAB recommendations. Another thing, if you're a plus dancer, this works two ways. If you've been a plus dancer for 3 or 4 years, you don't want to regress every year either, just like we don't in tennis, right? Really, it works both ways, and it's not fair for the new dancer to be pushed. So you have to have 2 clubs. And if the mainstream club, after they dance 9 or 10 months mainstream, do not want to take the plus workshop, they can stay mainstream. Why are you here if you don't do something about it? I don't understand it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. I think we're getting close to wind-up time, and it will take 2 more if anybody wants to come up.
Ralph Hay from Colorado. There seems to me there's 2 things we're addressing here. One is extending lessons long enough so that we can teach people how to dance properly, and secondly, to provide a place for them to dance at the various stages of their development as callers. Many callers have said to me, when I asked why don't we have mainstream clubs in our area or even basic level clubs, nobody would come. I just want to say that that's not been my experience. Back when we had before CALLERLAB and we had basic and extended basics, I had a club that danced once every week, and with 1 caller. I was the only caller for the club. And to keep the people from getting bored was the main reason I did it, because they were dancing to 1 caller every week. I developed a program where I called basics on the first Friday night of the month, extended basics on the second Friday, workshops on the third, and on the fourth we would have a party night or a special dance of some sort. And to my surprise, I found the best attended dances we had were our basic dances. And they were the most fun for the people who attended.
One more. We'll have to cut it off after this one.
Real quick.
Not cutting you off.
That's okay. Good morning. Buzz Nacera, Valrico, Florida. Like everybody else, I get a lot of junk in the mail. And some of the junk I get in the mail are little advertisements from badge makers so that my dancers can wear badges saying they're plus and they're A1 and said, hey, we don't need this garbage. And the other thing is, I got something in the mail a couple of weeks ago that really talked me up. Something about advertising square dancing in Europe. They were going to make it a competition, and the best ones were going to dance at such and such a place. Square dancing is not competitive. It's a recreation.
Thank you. All right, wait, hold it, please. Daryl, did you want to make a comment? All right, I have to shut it off after that. Come on up. Just want to say, while Dale's coming up here, in closing, I think we've come up with 2 good solutions. One, we have to look at ourselves and say, are we doing it properly? And 2, as Dean says, are we doing our homework? Are we moving on to the next basic as a crutch because we don't know what to do?
My name is Daryl Figg. I'm from Traverse City, Michigan. And we have a very small community of about probably 15 to 20,000 people. We have 4 clubs, 4 callers, no plus clubs. We have all the clubs do some plus tips, but we're able to keep our mainstream club going well, satisfying the plus dancer to give him an opportunity to do some of the plus dancing. We're also very fortunate the callers all work well together and promote dancers to go to each other's club That can be done because we each dance the first and third Friday, second and fourth Friday, first and third Saturday, second and fourth Saturday, and we have no competition. We're very fortunate there. We realize it. But we found that there's a few people that would like to dance advanced, and there's probably a few people who very easily could dance at other places, but all of the callers in our area are very happy with the fact that we don't push anyone, and we try to keep mainstream level where we keep the backbone of square dancing at all the clubs. And we alternate tips. We advertise or announce each tip in advance. The next tip will be a mainstream tip. The next tip will be a plus tip. And maybe we have one workshop tip during the evening. I don't know whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I only know that in our case it's successful.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you join me in giving Eddie Mayall and Bob Hester a nice hand for coming? And thank you for coming.
Don't run away. Usually you get a meeting set up with a captain, and when you ask him a question or really try to find out if he really knows his stuff, you usually get a lot of fudging. But I think we've had a captain that really has done his homework. How about a hand for Dave Taylor?
Thank you very much. Let's go to lunch.
Good job, Dan.
Thank you, sir.